Hey guys, it's S. Anthony. It's Thursday and it's just me and you. And it's December and obviously I took last Thursday off because it was Thanksgiving. And I'll be honest with you, even though I'm in the process of losing weight and working out and getting back in shape, when I had an opportunity for large amounts of free food on a day when I have permission to eat that free food, I'm not missing it for anybody. So I hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving as well, my friends. I really, really do hope you had a good Thanksgiving, my friends. But the thing about it is now it's Christmas time almost. We're almost at Christmas. It's the month of Christmas. And not to bring everybody down, but a couple of Christmases ago, like right after Christmas, my uncle passed away. The one that I spent the most time with, the last 20 years of his life, I was with the man literally 6 days a week, and on 5 days of the week, several hours a day. And on Sundays, I would go take his newspaper to him, so we'd only be around each other for like a half an hour, talking crap and all of that kind of stuff. But one of the funny things about it was the last 20 Christmas trees of his life, I went to get the Christmas tree with him. And I got used to going to get the Christmas tree with him. And I would take another cousin. We'd all get 3 trees at the same time. It was a ritual. And these two people, my uncle and my cousin, I would take them shopping during the week. And it was really weird. After he passed, it was like my other cousin, he kind of fell into the habit of going shopping on another day. And I fell into the habit of going shopping on another day. And it's just weird how things like that change. Things change, and it's a permanent change because somebody was missing. And here's another thing that's really weird too. When I would drive around with my uncle, and I'm sure you have a relative that you were super close to, I would drive around, and on my way to my cousin's house, whenever it was around Christmas time, there was a section of the city that my cousin lived in. And when we would drive through it, it was like that particular block really was the super Christmas block, or maybe it's about 2 or 3 blocks, the super Christmas area. And they had lights going across the street, lights in the tree. Everybody's house was lit up. Everybody had all of these over the top Christmas decorations and stuff. And I don't care whether you're religious or not, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. When you see that many people enjoying the holiday and going out of their way to celebrate the holiday and going out of their way to make their place look extra good, you kind of get into it, right? And I'll be honest with you, driving that way was not exactly on the path that we needed to travel to. Now, we got sidetracked a little bit and had to go down that specific set of blocks. And I started to notice, because I'd had to go back and forth to my cousin's house several times with him to do some certain things, I started to notice that I would kind of drift into that specific way of driving to his house, which was a little bit out of the way, not way out of the way, but a little bit out of the way, because I'll be honest with you, I kind of got a kick out of seeing the lights and the trees and the decorations on people's houses. It was cool, right? And then one time I was like, let me stop being an idiot. Let me drive the normal way. And my uncle goes, what are you doing? And I go, what do you mean, what am I doing? I picked you up and I'm going to go pick up my cousin. What are you talking about? He goes, no, make a left here. I'm thinking he's directing me to something else we need to do. Maybe he wanted to go to a store or something like that. No, he just wanted to see the lights. And I looked at him and I started laughing. He goes, yeah, all right. I said, you just wanted to see these daggone lights. He goes, yeah. I said, ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, And we started to break each other's stones and tease each other about it. And I would drive, and on the way back to go to my uncle's house to drop him off, wasn't anywhere near the lights. But guess what we wound up doing? Driving right through that little section to look at all the lights. And it was cool. And they did it year after year after year. And they would ramp it up a little bit, and they would always be changing the decorations, and it was fantastic. And I would go out of my way. We'd actually look at each other like, I wonder when they're going to put the lights up. I wonder when they're going to put the lights up. I'm a middle-aged man, and he's an old guy. And my cousin at the time was approaching, well, he was younger, but his middle age was in the horizon for him, right? And we're all like that, and my uncle would go, so I said, you want to know when the lights are coming up, don't you? When the lights coming up, when the lights coming up. And we would drive by that area, and the lights weren't up, and you could see 2 grown ass men looking at each other like, oh, right? If you took a look at our faces at the moment we realized when we drove down that block that there were no damn Christmas lights, you would look at us like you two are an embarrassment. You two look like two 5-year-olds that just found out that Christmas is on the 25th and it's only the 23rd and they messed up on their wall calendars in their room. Oh. But what we started to notice was there was a pattern starting to build up, and they would start to put the Christmas lights up somewhere between the 3rd and the 5th of December is when the lights would come up. And the decorations would go just, because sometimes they just have, like a wreath or a tree or something, like a little punk tree on the porch. But when they would really ramp up the decorations and go for it was between the 3rd and the 5th. We drive by on the 3rd, nothing. But we know it's coming, and I know I'm going to my cousin's house with my uncle every day. It's only a matter of time. The 4th comes. No. Oh, no. The next day, the 5th, Christmas time is here. Whatever that Charlie Brown music is. Oh, yeah. You make that, and you could see the lights before you even made the turn onto those blocks. The lights, it was almost like the lights that bled into the street where we were driving down had their hands out as if to say, S. Anthony's uncle, come this way. We have arrived. The lights you were seeking have arrived. Welcome. Enjoy the magic wonderland of these several blocks of people celebrating Christmas with their gigantic lights and their gigantic porch ornaments, and it was a Christmas wonderland. And we drove down the block and we kind of looked at each other like, oh yeah, right? Now, when I said it was over the top, I didn't really mean over the top like they were garish. They weren't garish. They were very classic. The kind of Christmas decorations you'd see on an old school Christmas card. When you watch those, you see those Christmas cards and you look at it and go, it's a nice little thing. And you imagine people sipping cider, the mom, the dad, the 2.5 kids. I don't know how much apple cider you give to a 0.5 kid, but I'm sure there was a half a glass in front of the half kid, glug, 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 drinking it up, right? Yeah, little Timmy and little Becky, little Tamika, little Terrence, little whatever the child's name is, whatever, insert ethnic name, little that one, and getting ready to good apple cider or whatever the heck you drink at the time, eggnog and all that crap, right? That's what you picture in those houses, because that's how they looked. Drop off my cousin, and we go, hey, you know what? I think we're going to drive back through the back the other way and see the lights again. Yeah, drive through, right? Every once in a while, you see some people on the porch, and I'd look out, and they'd see me looking at their decorations, and they look at me with a little wink like, you like that, don't you? And I'd give them the head nod, and I'd give them the point, and then they'd give me the point back. And it was really weird because I would drive down that block and look at the stuff so much that on occasion, the whole family would be on the porch or getting out of their car, and they recognized my car, the mighty Toyota Camry. They recognized my car, the mighty Toyota Camry, and they'd wave, hey. It even got to the point where I saw something on someone's porch, and it was an animatronic thing, and it was so cool, but I had never seen it before. And I drive down the block, the guy recognized me, and I go, what is that? Because, well, it wasn't a stop light, it was a stop sign, but there was no one behind me. So what? I stopped and asked, and he told me what it was, and he had gone out of his way to get it, and he wanted to surprise the kids. He surprised the kids. The kids loved it. I shook his hand, and he said, what's your name? And I said, I'm S. Anthony. And what's your name? He goes, I'm Bill. I don't remember what the guy's name was. And every time I drive down the block, and sometimes I drive down the block and he'd be sitting on the porch drinking coffee. And this is during the day, because I'd have mixed several trips during the day. The lights were not really on. They were out, but not on. And I'd wave at him and he'd wave at me. Hey, it's Anthony. Hey, Bill. I don't remember what his name was. I'm going to say Bill. Hey, right? And that went on for a while. And then I remember the last year of my uncle's life. Now, I didn't know he was going to pass away. He didn't know he was going to pass away. We didn't even think about that. We're driving down, and we started noticing that some of the lights and some of the houses had kind of toned down their Christmassy decorations. And And it was kind of weird. It was kind of toned down, man. It didn't have the same energy. And every time I drove by, I didn't see Bill. The house was still there, but I didn't see Bill. Is Bill still living there? What's going on? Huh. And that was the last year of his life. The year after he died, I drove down the same block and nobody had lights up. I mean, nobody. Nothing. And there was a snowman on a couple of porches and some lights that weren't put up. I mean, it was like the lights were there, but you could tell that the lights were they just never took them down. They were like, yeah, let's leave these punk ass lights up. And next Christmas I'll flip the switch. But other than that, I ain't doing anything special. There was lights on the trees, but it wasn't like they put those lights up. It was like those lights were left up. And then as time goes by, as I drive through the same blocks I drove back in the day, nobody had Christmas anything up. Nothing. Right? It was weird, man. Now, obviously, they didn't say, hey, as Anthony's uncle died, let's all take our Christmas lights down. No, it was just a passing of time. Maybe new people were in the apartments. Maybe these same people were all Christmased out because they had kids. Because remember, it's been 20 years. It was like a 20-year run. And if those kids were little at the time and it was extra Christmassy, well, those kids would probably be, good Lord, they'd be either 30 or in their 30s or pushing 30 now. So they're probably someplace else. Maybe lighting up those houses, maybe not. But they're not here for this. There's no reason to put all the toys on the porch and stuff like that if your kid's 32 years old, right? But it was really weird. Because I remember going to that area after my uncle died, like this year. Because by now, right around now, the Christmas lights would be up. And I don't know what I was thinking. I knew that the people had stopped doing the Christmas lights. I knew the people there weren't celebrating the holiday like they had before. But for some reason, I found myself in the car because I knew he was gone. I knew I wasn't going to be buying a Christmas tree with him this year because, like I said, he's gone, you know. I knew my cousin would be purchasing his tree someplace else because we're not really that close physically. Well, we're close, but we're not close physically anymore as far as he's living. You know, I don't drive by that way like that anymore. And it was really weird to drive down those streets looking to the passenger part of the car. Once again, he's been gone. It'll be 2 years by the end of because he died a few days after Christmas. A couple of years ago. It'll be 2 years, really, in less than a month. By the end of this month, it'll be 2 years. And it's weird when you're with someone every day, 6 days a week, 5 day, Monday through Friday for several hours, doing running errands and taking care of the other two sick uncles who passed away before he did. And you spend several hours a day with them. Even do Christmas stuff with them too. Even though they weren't the most Christmassy of people. You know, a person like acts like they don't care, but you know they do. I don't want no tree in this house, right? And then if you don't get a tree, first of all, you have the tree, but you're just waiting for them to say something. Hey, yeah, I'm glad you didn't put that tree up right there in that spot that I cleaned out. Right, you know, normally there's like books or something in that corner, but right around December 5th, all of a sudden, yeah, I decided to move all of that stuff into another room for no reason. Definitely not to make room for the tree that I know you're going to get me, even though I'm going to act like I don't want it. Right? But it was really weird because then all of a sudden you weren't getting trees for them because they passed away. And then you had my last uncle, and you know, I remember, like I said, he died a few days after Christmas a couple of years ago. So I got him his last 20 trees, but obviously I got him his last tree. And the last couple of years when I was getting trees, it just felt weird putting one tree on the top of the mighty Toyota Camry. Felt weird. Just like it felt weird driving today right through that area, even though I knew the lights were not going to be there. But for some reason, I needed to go there one last time, you know, kind of say a mental goodbye to that time period. I know it sounds weird. And I know a lot of times people need closure. And sometimes you do things that people that don't understand feel weird when you do it. I was in the car by myself, by the way. And I didn't actually say anything. I didn't do any kind of ritual. I didn't get out and say, bye, Uncle Dave. I didn't do anything like that. But I did do a mental goodbye to that time period, to the time period when that particular set of blocks had lights, which they don't now. Who knows? They may later on this year. And if they do, if the lights come back, I'll tell you about it. But I'm pretty sure they won't. But sometimes, man, you got to do that thing that just says goodbye to a time period, a goodbye to a section of your life, a goodbye. That's why when somebody, if you have kids, and I haven't been blessed with kids yet, but when you have kids and they go off to college out of state, you had them in your house for 18 years. They're your children. You love them. They were pains in the ass because when they go away, they're 18 years old, which means for the last 5 years of their life, they probably think you are the dumbest person in the history of the world. And to the young people in my audience, the youngest people in my audience, about a third of my audience is between 18 and 22. Right now, some of you still think your parents are the biggest dopes in the world because that's part of being a teenager and a very young adult. And as you get into your 20s, you realize they were actually pretty smart, and you'll grow to like be around them again because you're not a kid anymore, and you understand what it's like to be an adult. But I can understand why people get choked up and cry when their kids go off to college, because you're essentially saying goodbye to their childhood. The kid is leaving. Even if they come back in the middle of the semester, even if they come back for a vacation 6 weeks from now or 3 months from now, whatever time they would come back with their laundry, they're not going to be the same human being anymore. Just a few months of being out of the house, on their own, paying their own bills, whatever they got to do, just that little bit is going to alter them forever. They will not be the same person when they come back. They're still going to be your daughter or your son, but they're not going to be the same. And it's amazing, and it's a wonderful thing. Like I said, I don't have any kids, but I've seen my nieces and nephews turn into different human beings when they had children than when they stayed with me and I was cooking for them. It's amazing to see somebody who I used to give baths when he was a baby come back to the house with his baby, right? When I went to California in the 90s, 1993, the family had a party for me. And at the time I left, I didn't realize that I'd be staying there for the entire 90s. I literally expected to go out there, audition for a couple of things, maybe do some shows, maybe hang out a little bit. I thought the worst case, not the worst, but the longest I'd be there would be like at the most 3 or 4 weeks. And it turned out to be the 90s, right? But I also could see people's faces when I left, even though they thought I was leaving for 3 months. I'm sorry, for like 2 or 3 weeks. There was some kind of finality there because because the simple fact that there was a party for me to go, I think everybody kind of knew that something was ending, right? And that's what happens. You notice the passage of time. And something happens, it's wonderful and great. And then all of a sudden, boom, there's a change. And you realize upon looking at that change that something is changing permanently. It could be changing for the better. Your kid's going off to college. They're going to go off. They're going to get a degree. They're going to have a great career. They're going to make money. They're going to bring back some great grandchildren who are then going to go to college or do whatever they're going to do. So this is the beginning of something special. But it's not the same as sitting on the couch and having your little daughter run up and jump into your lap and she's just going to go to sleep, or your little son jumping in your lap and he's going to go to sleep. When I hugged my nephews as adults as they went on about their way, it was not the same as when Uncle S was sitting on the couch reading them a story while they both put their hands on my face and played with my beard. It's not the same walking around carrying him in my arms as little babies. It's not the same. They're adults. They go off to do their life, and it's an amazing thing. It's a wonderful thing, and I loved seeing it. But there's something that happened that was great, which transitioned into something else that happened, which is equally great, but it's not the same. just like for me, Christmases are not the same. My Uncle Dave's not part of them anymore. The street lights aren't there anymore. There's only one Christmas tree on my car now. Now I'm going to go on to do great things. I'm eventually going to get married. I may have kids. I may not. I'm 53, so I might not do it. But at least I'll have an amazing woman with me, I'm pretty sure, at that point. And maybe she'll have kids. Maybe I'll have kids. I don't know. But at the very least, it'll be the beginning of something else, something amazing. And something amazing in a different way. You know, it's like every year Christmas ends and the new year begins. So, just when something ends, don't always think of it as a bad thing. It may seem bad because something is changing, but it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's the end of something that was cool, and the next thing could actually wind up being cooler. You never know. You dig? So, here's to you, Uncle Dave. Love them last 20 Christmases, brother. Thank you for that. And to everybody listening, man, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Obviously, I'm going to do some shows before Christmas. It's the beginning of December. It's not like I'll be talking to you next Thursday, maybe even more often than that. But just remember, these are just the things that happened to me today as I was about to record this, and I had something else planned to record for this episode. But sometimes, if people that have been listening to me for a while, sometimes something will happen to me, and it will just completely change the plans, and then the show turns into something else. That's just the way it is. That's what you signed up for, damn it. So, folks, thank you. It's been a good year. More of you have been listening. Thank you for the kind words. Do me a favor, if you haven't already. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, make sure you subscribe, okay? Rate and review wherever you are. Rate and review the podcast. 5 stars, damn it. Tell a friend about the podcast. I will be here on a regular basis on Thursdays. And let's be honest, between you and me, I really like talking to you, so I'm probably just going to pop in a few more times every week if I feel like it. But I'm definitely going to be here on Thursdays. That's just between you and me and a whole bunch of other people listening. Much love to you all, my friends. Much love to you all. And I'll see you next time.